Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of my podcast, Explore and Engage with Anam. In this episode, I would like to talk about New York City, and I will mention two things in particular: a problem originating in the South and affecting New York, and then another problem originating in the North and then affecting New York. It might seem a bit confusing. It might sound a bit confusing, but I will explain what I'm going to discuss. My friends, if you have been listening to my podcast, then you know that I have been discussing the border crisis quite a bit. You already know this, that there is a big crisis at the southern border of the United States. Because of lack of border security, foreign nationals are entering the United States. Because the Biden administration has not enforced our nation's immigration laws, because the Biden administration has not secured the southern border, foreign nationals are entering the United States by crossing the US-Mexico border. And many of these migrants, after crossing the southern border and entering our country, these migrants are ending up in the city of New York. Why? Because New York City is a sanctuary city. The liberal leaders of New York City labeled the city to be a sanctuary city. And so thousands of migrants are ending up in New York looking for housing, looking for food, looking for basic services, including medical services. And the city of New York, as a result, the city of New York is struggling to find housing for these migrants. The city is struggling to provide food to these migrants and to provide basic services to these migrants. Now, the city of New York is giving a lot of time and energy. The New York City leaders are using taxpayer dollars. They are coming up with ways to provide services to the migrants, and in the process, they are using American taxpayer dollars. So what's happening is that the taxpayer dollars, the government doesn't have any money. Whatever money the government has, it's taxpayer money. So the government is taking money from hardworking American taxpayers and using those funds to provide services to the migrants, to the foreign nationals. And that's what's happening in New York. So as a result, there's a big crisis. And for the taxpayers, it's a very difficult situation. Hardworking Americans are already suffering because of inflation, supply chain crisis, energy crisis, and many other problems. And now the taxpayers, the American taxpayers living in New York City, they are watching their dollars, they are watching their money being spent to provide services to foreign nationals who entered the United States by crossing the southern border. And these are the folks who made their way to New York City, and now they are looking for housing and services there. American taxpayer dollars are being spent on migrants. And so for the American taxpayers living in New York City, this is a big crisis. This is resulting in a lot of confusion. There are more questions than answers. American taxpayers living in New York City, they are wondering how much more of their hard-earned money will be spent on migrants. Where will the migrants be housed? Who will pay for housing the migrants? How many billions of dollars will be spent on the migrants? Who will provide food for the migrants? Who will provide clothing for the migrants? Who will provide medical services for the migrants? Who will bear the expenses of all of these things? American taxpayers are in a very difficult situation. So this is a problem that starts at the southern border And it's now affecting New York City, as thousands of migrants are in New York looking for housing, food, and other services. And now let's talk about what's happening to the north. To the north, there's Canada. And what's happening in Canada? There are dangerous wildfires in Canada. Canadian wildfires are resulting in lots of smoke, and the wind is carrying the smoke down south towards New York. Wildfires in Canada resulting in tremendous smoke in New York. And if you look at New York City in particular, the skies of New York City are covered with smoke. I saw various news reports on the situation in New York City. And it's not just New York City, it's the entire region. There are various states in the northeast part of the country that are being affected because of the Canadian wildfires and the smoke that's coming from the north and it's coming down south and affecting people here in the United States. But in New York City in particular, I have seen video clips and images of the skyline, New York City skyline, and you can't even see the skyline clearly because of all the smoke. You can't even see the Statue of Liberty clearly because of all the smoke. There's air pollution, and it's hazardous. This is going to affect human health. And medical experts are saying that people should stay inside. People should avoid going out. And if people absolutely must leave their homes, they should use masks. That's what medical experts are saying. The smoke is so heavy and it is so hazardous that people can actually smell the smoke. They can taste it in their mouth. That's how strong the smoke from the Canadian wildfires is. And it's affecting human health in New York City. And the city, based on the images that I saw, based on the video clips that I saw, the city is now, it looks like it looks like Mars, as some people are saying. It looks like the red planet Mars because of the smoke and the smoke mixed with the light from the sun. It's just creating, and I don't know scientifically how that happens, but it's just creating a reddish color. The city is like reddish. You should look up the news reports and some of the images and the videos. I think I'm not able to explain as clearly as I want to. But some people have said that it looks like a post-apocalyptic world because of the smoke. And it's resulting in a lot of confusion. There's lack of clarity. Visibility is low. So on one hand, you've got migrants crossing the southern border, entering the United States, going up north, and looking for housing and services in New York City. And it's creating a pressure on American taxpayers living in New York City. It's resulting in confusion. It's resulting in a lot of challenges. It's resulting in difficulties for American taxpayers. There are more questions than answers. When will this crisis end? American taxpayers want to know that. But is there anyone who can provide an answer? And that's why I say there's a lot of confusion. It's a very difficult situation. So that's one problem. And now, on top of that, Canadian wildfires. Canadian wildfires have resulted in tremendous amount of smoke affecting New York City and affecting the health of the people of New York. When will the smoke go away? When will the sky, when will people be able to see the clear skies again? I don't know the answer. And so this is also creating a lot of difficulty and a lot of confusion for the American people, especially those living in New York City. And so it seems that these two problems are happening at the same time. And then I want to ask another question. Obviously, there's an ongoing conversation about where the migrants will be housed. And the city is looking at all possible options to house the migrants. And so now that this issue with the Canadian wildfire smoke is taking place, and now that medical experts are saying that people of all ages, whether it's a teenager or a young adult or a middle-aged person or a senior citizen, everyone should try to stay inside because of all the smoke, and not people. Medical experts are recommending that people not go outside because of all the smoke. They have to avoid the smoke. And so it's recommended that people stay indoors. So I wonder where all the migrants are, because staying indoor means having a place to stay, right? And so we already know that there are housing challenges because of all the migrants who have ended up in the city of New York, and more people are showing up every day as people continue to cross the southern border and enter the United States. So where are all these migrants? Are these migrants staying indoor? If they are, then where are they staying? Or are they spending a lot of time outside under the open skies? I don't know. These are my questions. I am not in New York, so I don't know what the situation is like on the ground. So if there are New Yorkers listening to my podcast, please share with me your observation. What are you seeing in New York City? What's going on? And also share with me your thoughts and comments. And people in general, you don't have to be a New Yorker. If you're listening to my podcast, wherever you are, share with me your opinions, share with me your thoughts. Whether you live in Wisconsin, whether you live in the West Coast, East Coast, whether you're in the southern states, whether you are in Pacific Northwest, wherever you may be, my friends, share with me your thoughts and comments. I want to hear from you. Visit my website, tawsifanam.net. You can send me a message if you go to my website. And if you go to my website, on the homepage, there's also, if you scroll down, there's an option where you can, there's a place where you can enter your email address and sign up for my e-newsletter, free e-newsletter. I try to send an e-newsletter out once a week, but sometimes because of how busy I am, I'm able to send it out only maybe once every 10 days or once every 2 weeks. But I do try to send out e-newsletters to people in my list. And so you can sign up to be on the list to receive my e-newsletter, in which I share lots of updates. And also you can connect with me on social media. And finally, I just want to thank you all for continuing to listen to my podcast. Share with me your thoughts. And I hope to be back again with a new episode very soon. Thank you.